Welcome to the Literary Escapes podcast. I'm your host, Becky, and I'm excited to have you join me today. Do you enjoy escaping into a good book? What about exploring the world? Here on the Literary Escapes podcast, that's exactly what we do. Each episode, I introduce you to a new destination, a new book, a new author, maybe. So join me and see where we're escaping to today. Welcome to the episode. But I would very much like to welcome Jennifer Probst. She is a New York Times bestselling, New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal bestselling author of over 50 books. Your books have been translated into over a dozen countries, sold over 2 million copies, and was dubbed a romance phenom by Kirkus Reviews. Welcome.
Thank you, Becky.
Don't you love hearing all that about yourself?
Oh my gosh, aren't we all the same? Every time the bio is gone, this is what I go, do I need to update this? It's like,
So how are you? You're up in New York, right?
Yes, I'm in the Hudson Valley in New York. I love it here because that's an hour and a half north of Manhattan. And right on my neighborhood, we have like horse farms and it's very rural. We have the farm market. So a lot of my series will take place here. And a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff, like sometimes my editor would be like, oh, I wish I lived in places with strawberry festivals and cupcake festivals. I'm like, that's where I live. Like that's where I live. But I love it because, I can get on a train and I can go see a Broadway play or get into the city.
Right.
So a lot of people in New York, I think with every state, like they're big states, but you think Manhattan, the city.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My kids used to call it the big city, mom.
That's right. It is the big
Yeah.
city.
Yeah, but it's nice to have both worlds. So
That's fun. That's
yeah.
fun. Yeah. Your the newest book that we just read, To Sicily With Love, starts
Yeah.
in that area, right?
Yes, I do a lot, especially like with my Italy books. I think it's because it's comfortable.
Hmm.
I know exactly. I spent so much time, so many hours researching everything in Sicily, from restaurants to traditions to talking, that I needed a place that I didn't have to research that she can come from. You know what I mean? So I was like, there we go. We're just going to put it in a small little town right around here that I know, and then I
Exactly.
research Sicily. Yeah, and
That
I'm
that
sure a
works.
lot of authors do that. Yeah.
That's fun. So I was looking at your bio, and your passions include reading, which is no big shock, horse racing,
Yeah.
like watching it or doing it.
No, no jockey am I. No, that goes straight from my father, who was a cab driver, a big gambler, and pretty much I was, not from my mother's approval, but it was just the way it was. Like we went to the racetrack.
You went to the track together. That was
We
your
would,
bonding
yeah,
time.
we would OTB, which is now closed for streaming. Again, I feel it's so weird how things have changed.
Yeah.
I have spent many Saturday afternoons with my dad in OTB with other cab drivers, hanging out. They would go out to smoke. They'd be like, "This is my daughter," and all we would do for like 20 minutes before the next race was plat out horses.
Oh,
So
funny.
horse racing, the Triple Crown is like golden hour in my house. Like every Triple Crown race was bet on, watched, analyzed for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Jockeys, horse trainers, and so my book, it's a book called All Roads Lead to You. It was
Okay.
it was called the Stay series, and it's a 3-book series. It's in KU. That was my horse racing book because I love horses, and I thought one day I'm going to write about this broken horse that this Irish horse trainer comes in and they train. I always wanted to write about a horse whisperer, like 'cause I just
Yeah.
love animals. So, I've got a horse whisperer and this broken horse who had like an abusive past that I don't get into, or and comes back to life, and they enter him in the Triple Crown. So I got to have my horse racing book, which was all for me. My editor, when she got it, she's like, okay, this isn't what you proposed. I'm like, I know.
But guess what? It's
I
what
hope
came
you,
out.
I hope you like it. It's just kind of so sometimes I feel like we start series like to be, you know, um, small town this, we're gonna do this, but then like your passions come out, you know what I mean? And you
Yeah,
have to kind of wriggle your way through, okay, this will be an easy thing to sell because of the marketing hooks. But that book was for me 120%.
I
And
love it.
I think it has a small niche audience because I'll get readers out of the blue that be like, oh, I love the Triple Crown or I love horse. Yeah. So very,
Yeah,
very that.
that's
Yeah.
so fun. So, based on what I've read of your books, I would guess that from your passions from your books
Yeah.
are family,
Yeah.
Italy,
Yep.
and I just had another one. Oh, food.
Food. Yes. Yes. The only one I would throw in there, the additional is rescue animals, because there's a ton
Okay,
of different rescue animals. If I can get in a rescue animal, I will get them in because I'm
nice.
so passionate about that. But you just nailed the Holy
That's
Trinity
you.
there.
And that is probably why you connect with so many readers, is because I like food. I
That's
like family.
family. Right?
Yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah, and I love Italy. So yeah.
Yeah.
So you have this kind of unique Italy series where it's a series, but they're not interconnected at all. Or it's just
Right.
connected by the fact that they're all set in Italy.
Yeah, it's a little different because
Yeah.
readers will say to me, "Oh my gosh, I have to start with book one," and I'm like, "No,
Oh,
they have all the characters are separate. It is just I wanted to do just a series based on women who have crisis or pivotal moments in their life, different ones. And when they go to Italy, whatever, and I do different parts. I do Lake
yeah.
Como, Sicily, Positano, and then all of them in a tour. They go and they are changed, whether it's them personally, them romantically, them family, their however it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I didn't even know that it was going to be that type of series. When I had signed my first contract, it was for two books, and they're like, yeah, we'd like them in Italy because the first pitch was this Italy book. I didn't know what the second one was going to be. And so when they came back to me, Berkeley, and said, okay, we're ready for book two, they're like, where's your proposal? I'm like, I don't got nothing. Like, I don't know. So I had to do some brainstorming and I just kind of reached back actually on some very young, passionate dreams I had when I was young, when I loved the idea of love letters and writing and that old-fashioned connection. And I
Yeah.
thought, and I always dreamed when I was 18 that I wanted to go to Italy and fall in love with an Italian man and like have this whole like dream thing. So I literally wrapped it up and I said, I'm going to have this epic love story that spans 18 until 80. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and her life, and I just pitched it with a paragraph, and then I had to go back and like and figure it out. And then after the two books they said, let's put the Meet Me in Italy series and they'll just end up be standalones. So yeah,
Nice.
there's
Nice.
there's four books. Yeah.
That's fun. Are there going to be more Italy books, or do you know yet?
I think so. Yes. My readers are I get so much reader email on like when is
Yeah.
the next one? And again, it's like for a very niche reader who really loves like more of the closed door romance, which
Right.
you know what I mean? That means a lot to them. It's more women. That's what my mom is always like, can you please just write more
Like, oh,
Italy?
thank God I can read one of your books.
Yeah, because she'll say I have to skip a lot of scenes. And I was like, oh, but mom, you want me to mark them on a little highlighter? Because when I was young, she would read all of the scenes. Now she's 82 and she's like, I
Yep.
don't like to read those scenes. So I was like, okay, I'll mark them. But she's always been my first reader and she's
That's
always the one
awesome.
to read all of my books. So yeah. So I think what will happen is I have a great idea in mind. I'm under contract for another book right now that I've got to,
Nice.
and I think I'm going to come back in the spring and write that next one. So
Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
So, do you start with your setting or your characters or just kind of a thread of an idea for your stories? How do they come
yeah.
together?
That's such a great question because I'm going to say the first half of my career, it was really all characters. Like very my all of my books are very character driven. Plot was always like a secondary to me. It was like how do I make these characters like live their lives in conflict and that we are very relatable and human, just human quirks and weaknesses because that's what we all have. And that's another reason I love families and friendships because like families are very, you know what I mean? Like
They're
there's a lot
messy
of
sometimes. Yeah.
yes, they're very drama filled. So it started
Especially
with
if you're Italian. I'm
yes, especially if you're Italian. Oh, mama me. Oh my goodness. Like I still remember, you can't do that. Your aunt over there is not gonna like that. I'm like, Ma, I gotta block it out. Like just you gotta write for you. But then it started as I got older, travel started, setting started to become just as important. I started opening up to travel and stuff like that. And so while I was in a place, then the characters would come, if that made sense. Like the
yeah.
Outer Banks series, I wasn't supposed to write the Outer Banks series at all. I had no characters, but I was taking a tour in Corolla in the Outer Banks. And it was for the wild horses, and they bring us into the dunes and they give you the history. And I saw the sea turtles hatching, and it was like a lightning strike. I saw my hero. He inherited his grandfather's bankrupt horse company. I saw the entire book and I go, oh my gosh, I've got to write this and I don't know when I'm going to do this and who's going to buy it and all of that. So
Right.
the setting came first, inspired the characters. So
Nice.
that's usually how I work. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Yeah.
And so for like your Italy ones, do you travel there and is that part of the inspiration or
Most places I've done, so our Italian summer was based on an actual trip that I took with my 15-year-old niece and my godmother and my mom who was turning 70. Her dream was to go to Italy. She was never able to go. That's where her
oh,
grandparents were from. And I said, let's take a three-generational female trip to Italy. So we left the children at home with all of
all
the
the
men,
boys at home? Yeah.
all the boys at home, and we went on a 13-day tour all through Italy, and we
Okay.
celebrated her 70th birthday. I'll never forget, in a Tuscan vineyard, family style on a farm, and she cried and they had a cake
Oh,
for her. And it was always like her dream. So as I was traveling, learning about my family from like different aspects, I wrote and outlined the entire book. And
nice.
it took me a few years to sell it because everybody kept saying, well, this
This
may be
isn't
what
what we know of you.
this
Yeah.
is what we know about Jen, right? And so I'm always breaking the molds because a
hmm
writer doesn't just like write, especially when you change in life, as we know, Becky, we talked
Yeah.
about, right?
Yeah.
And so then after that, they wanted to go when I sold it. It wasn't like I was like, yes, I want to write every book in Italy. They said, let's lean in instead of you being the beach house girl,
Yeah.
all the authors, Hildebrand, Christy Woodson Harvey, like they're
They
known at
have
God, the house, the beach. They said, why don't we try to brand you more of like the Italy author? So I was like, this doesn't sound like it sucks. I'm like, yeah, okay.
if I must.
Yes. So Positano I had been to, Lake Como I had been to. Sicily was the only one I had not been to. So I had to rely very heavily on people who had family there and
Nice.
who, 'cause I didn't want just a tourist road. I needed people who lived there. So
Yeah.
that was about a good month of research before I was able even to write it and
I
know
bet.
where everything was. Yeah.
I bet. Do you have family still over there?
No, I don't.
Ah,
There's
that's
no
too bad.
family.
Okay.
My grandmother was from Naples, so she always had said she lived with us for a number of years and we were very close and I would try to have her teach me Italian and she always said there's two things that I want from you. I want you to take Italian in school and learn the language. I took 6 years. I still don't know the language. Like
I
it was
feel
bad.
you.
I can't. And the second one was go to Italy and have boots on in Naples one day. And so we did
Oh,
that. Like I did that with my mom and stuff like that. And then once I was over there, I was like, oh, this is my soul. Like this is, yeah. So I was always returning there. I think I've been there 4 times now
nice.
regularly. So yeah.
Nice. It's funny how you can go places and feel like you belong, you know?
Connected is
Yeah.
that is one of, we talked about this, how when you were doing research, right? And like all of a sudden you were like, oh my gosh, I went for A and now I'm writing this series for B. But it fascinates me that I feel like places call to our souls, and you can go on 50 vacations, right? It's almost like when you go into a room at a party and once in a blue moon, you talk to somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, the
There's a
connection.
connection.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about places.
Yeah.
And so for me, Italy is one and Cape May is another one. Cape May I've
Nice.
returned to my entire life, and I wrote a series like based in Cape May too. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
I think it's so interesting when I talk to people about that, where their
I
soul are.
When we went to Iceland, I felt that. And I still haven't really written a book there, but it felt like I don't know if, if I belong there because it's cold and I'm
Yes.
a Florida girl, but it was just so unique. And so, I mean, you could almost see like gnomes and stuff wandering around. I mean, it has that kind of landscape that's just so different. Lava flows and moss growing everywhere. And it's like, this is some sort of a story. I don't know what it is. That was before I was a writer. And I'm like, this is a story. I just don't know what it is. But I,
Did you go back? Like, was that
I
one?
haven't been back yet, but I'd love
Okay, so you
to.
had that one, but you connected. And again, it's so different from where you are now, right? Like
Yeah.
Florida, Iceland. See,
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like it just
Yeah.
spoke. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, when I went to Scotland, I have a whole series plotted out. And I was going to get like the culture. I was going to see, like winery or whiskey distilleries. I needed that. And then I needed, some character type stuff. And we're standing up on a hill looking over Loch Lomond, and there's all these islands in the middle of the loch. I think Loch Lomond is the biggest loch in the country. And so I'm looking out over these islands and I'm like, that would be such a perfect place for like unicorns to live because nobody'd ever know. These are the things that go through my head.
Raise
And
your hand. Writers are like not really.
we're a weird breed. And I'm like, and I didn't think anything about it because I wasn't writing about unicorns. And then, as the time went on in Scotland, all these ideas just kept coming to me. And I'm just like, you're very inconvenient. So
To change your whole schedule.
I had to change everything. And
Those are the books, though, that are like, I feel like those are the most important books because you weren't looking for them.
I
And
wasn't
they
looking for it at all.
hostaged you. They didn't
Yeah.
just come in because some ideas will come in and be like, yeah, you have to write me. And I look at my schedule. I'm like, okay, maybe in 3 books, or I'm planning this for the year, but you got hostage, Becky. They were like,
It was like,
no, you're
I
going
want you
to
to
write
write me
this.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. So yeah, so that was an interesting one.
Love it.
Um, are you a good cook?
No, I can cook. Okay, so when I put my mind to it and I want to cook, I cook really well.
Okay.
Um, but my mom is like the last of the great Italian cooks where
Mm,
I could just cry. It makes me so sad. I will tell you, my mom is like, well, not old fashioned, like, but we grew up and she would say, she would say to me, there's no writers in my family. She would say to me, you drove me crazy. She says, if you weren't mine, I would be like, where did you come from? Because she said you wouldn't cook, you wouldn't clean, you wanted nothing to do with any kind of like feminine aspect. I spent my whole life going, I don't think I want children. I think I want to travel. She's like, that's impossible. You have to have children. That's what you do. And she didn't know how, but I love it because the other side of her was also like reading my books. Do you know what I mean? She just didn't
right.
know what to do with me. So I am sad that I didn't take on more. I just don't have the interest. I'm like, my mind is like, I'd rather be in my office or reading or this than cooking.
Yeah.
So my boys, oh my God, like will make something and they're like, oh, I wish Nani had made it. And I was just like, and they just insult me and my husband, and I don't even care. I'm like, I wish Nani made
I
it
wish she had to.
too. So So my husband does a lot of cooking. I told him when he retires, I really want to send him to the local culinary to bulk up his skills. And he's looking at me and he's, oh, that's nice, not you. And I'm like, no,
Heck
I'll just
no.
keep doing what I do best. So I
That's so
wish, I feel
funny.
like I lost that. I mean, there's still time. Maybe I should be like over at my mom's house and be like, okay, just take me through a few
Yeah,
recipes.
write down all the
Oh,
recipes
good.
and
Oh, she's the best. Yeah.
it's so hard. I both of my parents are gone, and after the fact, I realize all the questions we didn't ask.
Yes.
And we didn't, we didn't have any big cultural heritage.
Yeah.
I feel like we were kind of mutts, maybe.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any big cultural traditions or food or anything like that in our family. But the stories, we didn't ask the stories. And
Yeah.
now it makes me sad that I have nothing to share with my children about any of that.
You,
So
I feel for you. Like if I could give you a hug, I would. And I also think I've heard your stories and I think that's what I explored the most through the Meet Me in Italy series. Like
yeah,
you always see they learn about their family, things that they've never known because that's our job to be kids for as long as we can. We're like, yeah, we're living our life. And it takes so long to finally realize like our parents are actually like people with these big
yeah,
dynamic lives that we never got into or
whole
interested.
lives that
Yeah.
they just didn't share.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah. And
yeah,
I
so
think also
curious.
our parents were a little more locked down. Like I talk a
Yeah,
lot, like
definitely.
my boys like no, like I'll sit at the table, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you how hard it is to write a book, or I'll whine. My mom wasn't like that. She just showed up and did her stuff, stiff
Yeah.
upper lip, and I sit there and whine. I'm like, good boy. Like, so I think they get more of me, probably more than they ever would want, but I'm a sharer. I'm like, I'm gonna give
But
it to
it
you.
kind of it also gives them a different perspective on life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
on a
exactly.
partnership and
Yes,
all of that. So yeah,
yeah,
I think it's interesting watching like the different generations and
yeah.
how what they learn from each other.
Relate
So
and what yeah,
yeah.
totally, totally. And that's
Penny
fun to explore that. Yeah.
Penny said that you described the food in the book so wonderfully.
Oh, that was my biggest goal that I wanted everybody to feel like they were there. And really lean into that feel because it's such a big part of the culture. So thank you. Knowing that I nailed that means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I like books that make you feel like that you're there and books that make you feel hungry when you finish.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's always dangerous but lovely. So
Yes. So true.
so what was the inspiration for Sicily?
I was interested with Sicily about the idea of in this culture now, first of all, everybody's tracking relatives through DNA. We've never had that before. There are
Right.
huge fights, and all I can hear from people are like, I thought it was 100% Italian. I'm 50% Scottish. What did my mother
Right.
say?
What the heck?
And
Yeah.
people discovering like relatives that they don't know, cousins that they don't know. So that has always been nibbling at me. Like that was an interesting part. But the second thing I really wanted to explore nowadays is the internet is such a dangerous place, and we have these power people, these like they take over and they're driven with this perfection. They have like a million followers and they're women, like I'm doing a
Mhm.
podcast, I'm doing this. And the world is, we've always been like that. We love to bring people up and we love to rip them down.
Yeah.
And I thought, what would it feel like if your personal life blows up and the only thing you've known is perfection in your career and achievement, and I'm not going to be like my mom and be a homemaker or whatever, like I'm going to be this. And you're like that and you get your dream and all of a sudden it's just gone because that's what happens with life. All of a sudden she can't function, right? And
Yeah.
she doesn't understand the grief part. I remember when I lost my dad and my mother-in-law 10 days apart, and I literally was at my dad's bedside till he died. And there is no map to put a person like, oh, this is what you do when you go through this
Right.
tragedy. So I came back from it and I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. Like, yeah, I'm overachiever here. And then I decide, okay, I'm going back to like my work because
Right.
well, I had writer's block for 6 months. I was on the chair. I
Yeah.
went through really bad time. So when you go through grief, I was able then to write about it, but my dad died like 7 years ago. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to really tackle and go back
Yeah.
into the grief until Sicily, but all these experiences serve me. So I wanted to know like what happens when grief blows up everything and and then you find you have this other life somewhere. Do you go explore it? Do you go like what happens? Like, so I had no idea what was going to happen in the book. I pretty much showed up for Aurora's journey the whole time. I was like, oh, I don't know. I just knew I wanted there to be a romance. I wanted a big Italian family. I wanted tradition. And it just kind of like went from there. So it was a great book to
Yeah.
write.
I liked the relationship arc between Aurora and her grandfather.
That was my favorite thing to write. And the
Yeah.
only thing I saw is each book usually has one scene that I write toward. It's kind of like my true north. Sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes it's at the end. I write to that, and that's like kind of like my map. And all I can see with that book was that they're the grandfather and Aurora was the most important relationship and the
Yeah.
back of the book because it mirrored his and her mom's
Right.
past that he never got to see grow up. And through that healing for me, it was the core of my book. And so in my thing, I always had them in that final talk where she calls him Baba. Like that was
Yeah.
over there. I wrote towards that. And once I had that,
Nice.
nailed it, I don't even remember the
Right.
rest of the book. It just came. Yeah. So I love again, like so I have the map, right? But you as a reader are coming in cold. So I love that relationship was special to you too.
Yeah, and I mean the relationship with the guy, and I can't remember his name. He was that was a good relationship, and for
Yeah.
her it was probably healing to have that, but
Yes.
the grandfather relationship was way more powerful to me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I enjoyed that you nailed that piece. So,
I
yeah.
love that. So
Yeah.
thank you, because that's exactly what I wanted from the book. The romance was actually a secondary kind of thing. And it was,
Yeah.
it added to it, but that wasn't her story, was the family and herself. And then the romance was able to come. Yeah.
Well, the fact that the romance was so different from what she knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Her crazy ex who was like, listen, I can't get you through this. This is not going to work. Let's power through it. I had a lot of fun writing his character. It was just kind of like,
Well, it was,
okay.
yeah, I'm going to break up with you. I love you, but I'm going to break
I
up
love
with
you.
you until you get through this crap.
I loved
It's
it. And
like,
he was like, do I say I love you back? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It was fun to just write like not a great male character in there and
yeah.
have a little fun. I have a little humor in the badness.
Well, and you have to, I mean, he's obviously the complete opposite of the Italian guy.
Right.
And so that was kind of funny to see how that came together and for
Right.
her to realize that there is more,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yes. And
So,
we don't know sometimes, like, right? How many times, like, as we age, we're like, oh man, I thought that was a good idea. At the time, you think it's a great idea
well, and
until,
priorities shift as
yeah,
we get older.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And hopefully we learn from all of them. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so you have written, like I said, 50, 60 books now.
Yeah.
How do you keep ideas fresh?
I try to live a very full life. I mean, ideas have never been the problem. I have had ideas since I was writing when I was 8 and 9 and 10. And I thought, I was going to write horror like Stephen King or like thrillers like Sidney Sheldon. And then I was like, I read my first romance and I was like, done. I've got the rest of my life plotted out and I got nowhere else to go. But I think I always teach that you have to I feel again, this is my perspective because every writer is different. You need to get out of the office to experience life, to travel, to see, to listen to people, to see experiences, because you just always are bringing it to the page. And
Yeah.
so to me, like I am just constantly pulling from my overactive imagination that's been daydreaming over time,
Yeah.
forever. I was born that way. And then I add in my proactive go out there, listen, look at family, pay attention. I
Yeah.
pay attention to everything all the time. And, and a lot of trust. I trust that my muse is going to bring me back. I also like to take breaks in between. Like you'll see, I'm not the regular writer I've been written 60 books in Just Meet Me in Italy series. Like you'll see, I do small town, I do super spicy, I do short Christmas sweet novellas, I do nonfiction for writers. So I'll maybe like do a series in a small town contemporary, little sexy, and then I'll say, now I really want to write a Christmas story. So I drive the bus, even though I think readers like when I have a favorite author, like if I like my Italy series, I would be like, Jen, please just write another
Just
Italy
write
book,
another
forget about
one.
the
Yeah.
other. But I have to drive my own thing because that's how I keep the books really good.
Well,
Really good.
it's hard because readers want more of the same.
More of the same but different. Different,
Exactly.
the
More of the
same.
same, but different.
Talk about this in our writers group all the time, and I teach about it and stuff like that. And I'll say to new writers, don't do what I do. Don't have a website with like six different heat levels and this and that. And I even have children's books that I wrote with my kids, but I owned it and I owned it early and I know how to funnel. And I'll be the first in my newsletter to say, here's my writing Kickstarter. If you're not a writer, I have this for you in
Move on.
September.
Yeah.
And if you don't like steamy, I
I've
got this
got this.
for you. You just got to wait 6 months or whatever. So I kind of try to funnel my readers because that will give me more joy. If I'm
Well,
not
and the fact that
excited,
you have a backlist with these
yes,
different options, you
very
can
helpful.
funnel them there. And
Yes.
when a new writer has like a book here and a book here and a book here, you don't have anywhere to send them unless
No,
they happen to like all your different genres. So,
no. And I
yeah.
will say I was very hungry when my first book hit and I had two young kids and I had a lot more energy than I have now. And when you want something, when you're dreamed about something when you ate and all of a sudden you have the opening, it's like the lottery ticket when I tell you I wrote 8 to 10 books a year. So
Wow.
that backlist drove my, it was so
Of
like if I was
course.
in a contract, I was writing a novella. But I was lucky. I had a really supportive family and I was doing what I dreamed of for so long. I can't take that momentum now.
Right.
So at that time, I really leaned into it and I got a lot of backlist. And that's why I was able to also have, like you said, because if you
Yeah.
only have 3, 4 books, people just want like the same but different. And I don't,
Yeah.
that's what I want when I read it. Like I get it.
As a writer, it's hard to write the same thing over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And the
It gets,
people who can do that, that's awesome. More power to them because
I
there are
know.
definitely writers that
Yes.
can do that.
They can, and they find a way to be fresh, and it is amazing. And I
Yeah.
love hearing how they do it. And I think you have to try different things, but then you also have to just be like, dude, I want to be that, but I am this. And the quicker you kind of like get happy with who you are, whether you're a slow writer or whatever, I just think life is better that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's there's space for all of us out there, which is the cool thing. So,
There is. And there's like tons of books. So if you're slow, you can send your great readers to your friend who writes this.
right.
Like, networking is so much fun because there's, I mean, I'm going to get you for a few books, but like, then I need some time to write the other one.
To
So
write
if
the
you,
next ones, yeah.
hey, go over there. That's why I love the book clubs. I love the book club stuff, like what we're doing right now. It's so fun. Like each time there's like something different coming in that maybe you wouldn't have read before or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how you discover like really great stuff and roads that you haven't journeyed on before.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, we've read some really good books and we've read some meh books.
Yeah,
It's
and that's great. Yeah, because
yeah,
that
but
makes
we
you,
try them all, so
yeah.
kind of funny. So, do you have from any of your books a favorite scene that you've written?
That's a really hard question because and this is a circular answer. When I'm writing something, I'm kind of all in and I'm immersed completely. But when I move from it, I kind of put it, okay, now it's the
It's on the
world's.
shelf.
It's on the
Yeah.
shelf. My mind is over here. It's done. And I'm immersed in the next one. So Um, I'm going to say The Marriage Bargain was the book that broke me out. It was the first viral book that put my name on everybody's list. It was a book I had written for over a decade and was rejected like by 50 people, everybody in New York. And then it was brought to the masses and it had this overtaken. It was like winning the lottery. And readers and I, there was this one scene because they were, best friends, older brother, and they hate each other and they've got to marry for convenience. And it just has all the lovely banter and stuff like that. But she's so vulnerable when they finally open up and have their first love scene, and she's afraid to give him the rest of who she is. And he cups her face, her cheeks, and he looks into her eyes and he goes, "It's always been you." And that changed the entire, and then she was able to kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this leap with you. And it's
Oh,
probably the most quoted like from the book and from, so I always remember it because that was like my breakout one.
yeah,
So I would
yeah,
say that's the one that is the most memorable, but there's usually always like two scenes or whatever that are breakouts in each of the new books that I'm writing.
yeah. Do you have a favorite trope that you like writing?
Yeah, I really loved, well, Marriage of Convenience was my all-time favorite forever. And then I just tapped out. I was like, I got no more ways of doing this. And then I think that my all-time favorite is Enemies to Lovers. I just love it because there's a lot of banter and fun, and it could be kind of mean enemies to lovers, competition enemies to lovers, a little like just there's
Yeah, a lot of
such
different ways to
different ways to
work
spin
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yes. So
that's
I
fun.
really do. And the other one I love, but it's harder to work it in. I love a makeover. Oh my gosh, I love a geeky guy sign like who's made over to be hot guy or whatever, or the girl or the I love those teen movies when I was young. You know what I mean? Like she's like the tomboy in school and all of a sudden like the
Yeah,
guy
all of
goes,
a sudden she's
"Who
all
is she?"
glammed up.
Yeah, and I like to do it with the guys too because guys have that kind of, so that's just like a fun little
That's
side
fun.
one that I
Yeah,
like.
I like that. I like that. Um, so in your personal life, you said that you enjoy doing a lot of things. What is the most adventurous thing that you've done?
I don't do a lot of adventurous things. I try to push myself. Um, try to push myself a little bit more now when I go on vacation. Like, okay, I'm going to do parasailing. We'll go to Hershey. We'll go to Disney. I'm like, yeah, I'm going on the big roller coasters. Like, I kind of don't want to, but I want to with my boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm not really a crazy event. I don't like mountain climbing, I'm kind of a boring person. I kind of like, I'm like a homebody. I do like,
yeah.
I love my home. And I would say, and I don't know if horseback riding is very adventurous, but I love horseback riding when I can get to it
That's
or
fun.
whatever. And I also think that every year or two, there's something that I'm really scared of, and I'll make myself do it. And that
Okay.
doesn't necessarily have to be jumping out of an airplane for
Right,
adventure.
right, right,
That would be like, hey, will you do this? Will you be the keynote and go to here and like talk to like 3,000 people? And then I'm like, I think I'm going to throw up. But then I
right.
say, but I want to do this, but I'm so scared,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so that kind of stuff to me is just as adventurous as like doing something
Oh, I
physically.
agree. Yeah, totally.
So I do. I try to get past my fear zone because that's experiences that I'm going to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. When my sister and I went to Venice, Italy, we did, not that this was super adventurous or scary, but we
Yeah.
did a cooking class. And I'm not a huge cook at all, but it was so much fun and it was so interesting. And to have someone there who actually knew what they were doing,
Oh, I love that.
helping me. I was helping her, obviously. Um, but that to me was a really fun experience and just interesting. And, that was one that I would do everywhere if I could. So
Yeah, and that's out of your comfort zone.
for
So
sure.
the last thing that I remember is, you remember my son was studying in Florence, like, and we went, to visit him. And it was the funniest thing. Like, I booked this experience of driving on mopeds through the vineyards, Chianti vineyards. And I'm like, this is
Okay.
the best thing ever. So, everybody has one of my s- one of my sons can't drive. Um, no, two were going to be in the back. Like that's right, because they're 18, but they couldn't. So I was like, okay, there'll be one will ride in the back of my husband's and one will ride in the back of me. So when we get there with like other people and the usual, like, okay, this is how you work the moped or whatever. My husband drives a motorcycle, so he was fine. And they're like, practice, we want to sign off checklist. Well, I couldn't do it very well because I had never driven a moped. Like and it was a little scary.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing these loops and everybody's lined up, Becky, watching me. And I'm like, this is very embarrassing. I felt like I was at school and gym again.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
the guide comes over and he says, yeah, your son's not got in the back of you. Your son's going to have to ride with me. He says, I don't think I trust you with him. And I was just like, okay, but like, I'm not that
It's
bad. Like, just
fine.
give me a little like riding or whatever. So then my son comes over and he goes, Mom, I don't want to ride with him. I want to ride with you. And I'm like, he won't let me take you. So anyway, he ended up, which is probably great for safety. But I'm telling you, Becky, it was the coolest thing. I'm going to say within 10 minutes to the drive, I just needed to drive and get my brain wrapped around
Yeah.
it. The guy at our next stop stops and he goes, that you are the most amazing student ever. He goes, you're driving wonderfully. He goes, but I still don't want to put your son on the back. It's like, okay. So to me, it was like adventurous and kind of embarrassing. And they make fun of me. My boys make fun of me for it. But yeah, but that's
That's what,
outside.
kids are for.
Yeah, exactly. But I do know how to ride a moped now.
There
Like,
you go. Who knew, right?
yeah.
That's how it works.
I reached out to a lot of different people because when I knew it was going to be set in Sicily, I knew the exact type of town that I wanted to set it in, but I didn't know what they were like. So I spoke with somebody who told me about Luca, they had grandparents there. And I called her on the phone and she sent me pictures and she took me through, no, one of them works at the pizza place here and this is what it looks like. And another reader told me about the traditional wedding, how that really happens, how the man goes to the balcony and brings her flowers, and that before the wedding, like
Oh.
they'll walk through the streets. And I just kind of like, I just did tons and tons of reading and talking to people and looking at photographs and looking at menus and and I needed Shaka was perfect because the children weren't going to want to live in Luca with the aunts and the grandparents. So I needed something close to base where they could own a bar and go to school and so I had a lot of towns that just didn't work out because of the mileage. And so that's what I mean when I took 1 month of just researching and no writing. And so that was the most for me. And I would have gone myself. I really wanted to go by myself, but it just didn't fit in my schedule. So relying on people, I cast a wide net and I was like, I need people specifically with family there. And that's I just took that all in. I think I spoke with them like one was for 1 hour, one, and then they would text me sometimes. I thought about this, I thought about that, and I would use some of they told me a story that they went into the local pizza place in Lucca. That was like this one thing. And the chef was a cousin. And this is how I brainstormed that scene. And they came out with a pizza full of hot dogs. And they said, this is the American pizza. And we made it just for you. And I laughed so hard. And I said to her, I love that for a scene. Can I steal it? And she said, absolutely. So you'll see, remember that scene in the
Yeah, I
pizza?
do. It sounded so disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. But so pieces of everybody's stories went into the cold research of looking at locations, and I put it like in the cooker, and then it comes out. So that's how that's how I managed to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice. So I know that you have been a teacher and a writing teacher.
Yeah.
And I know, and a speaker, and you are now getting ready, you've put a course together. So talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that, because I'm thinking that some people have thought about the potential of writing a book and what that might look like. And
Yeah, this course is very, I haven't, this course has been in my mind for a good 3 years. My first book, Write Naked, was literally a love letter to my writing because I have been writing since I was 12. I wrote my first book at 12, my second at 14, my third at 16, my fourth, like when I say that my entire life, even though I took some time, like with kids or whatever, like this is a lifelong journey and it is like my true north. And I'm a craft book junkie. So there were things that I loved and things that I didn't. And sometimes like the teaching was great, but it was too dry or I was too bored. And so I dreamed about having like a book for romance writers also, because you don't get a lot sometimes for romance. There's like
Right.
a lot of men doing it and a lot of, of more of like shorter things of essays where I can like maybe teach craft or teach things in the writing life and inspiration, but in a lighter way. So you're not like, oh, I'm learning about theme, like just that kind of thing. So I hadn't seen anything like it. And it took me a while because I pitched it and my agent was like, Jen, you don't write nonfiction, you write romance. And I was like, I can do this. I'm telling you. And I sent her 3 chapters and she says she's never seen anything so fantastic. And she sold it right
Fun.
away to Writer's Digest. Writer's Digest, when I was 14 years old, was where I was paying my allowance to get articles to know how to be a writer. And I remember sitting in my bed saying, one day I'm going to be in Writer's Digest. So when they made the offer, I cried for 2 days straight because
Ah.
that was a young girl's kind of thing. So basically, to get to the course, I was like, another thing that I haven't seen is I've seen courses like 30 days to write your book. Um, KU unlimited ads in 1 week, like wonderful things, but very niche. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like write a book in this, or this is how you craft your novel, or everything. It's all wonderful, but I haven't seen a hodgepodge of courses that you can kind of dip in and dip out of, and not one that is drowned in just PowerPoints. So I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to take all of my stuff from Right Naked and my thing and do one-on-one? So, like, as I'm talking to you now, I'm on my camera recorded, and I'm like, today we're going to talk about this. And it's kind of like me in your ear from there's 5-minute things where I do tips and tricks and inspirations, and then there's craft lessons where I'll get on and I'll have maybe a PowerPoint, just for the craft, but I'll, like go into it. Or maybe you get me for like I do things like the power of one, or how you find your process in your own branding, or how you market from this, or how you get over the fear of like that people are going to read your book and like see things. So it's a hodgepodge of everything I love in the business, but it's also
Oh,
updated for today. Yeah, for
nice.
today, for like how to be. So that's what it is. It's the Right Naked course, and I'm just excited about it. I just wanted it to be out there again. Um,
You have a Kickstarter going right now, and
yeah,
it's been fun to watch it because you're like up over $7,000, which is
yeah.
crazy.
Yes, which is crazy because 1,000 was the goal. And I was like, if I can get 5 to 6 to launch it, it would be so lovely. And now I'm at the 8 mark. I just passed 8, and
Nice.
we have like 4 days, 3 or 4 days left. And
Yeah.
it's like the last push. And with the Kickstarter, I'm able to do so much more. Like I have a Zoom call that you can do and a book box. And now I'm doing, Becky, you inspired this, a planner to go with the course. So
Nice.
if I say, hey, everybody open their books or whatever, and I'm talking to you video, I'll say, oh, you know what? I also have that I haven't seen before. I'm super excited about it. I have a vendor list, a
Ooh.
curated vendor list of all the years, like, oh, I use this person for character art. I use this person to edit. I use this person. So along the way, I've compiled, and there's no kickback or anything. It's
Right,
just
right.
and all of these resources. So I feel like it's a secret list because half the time you're like, I don't know to find this person a format, or I don't know. So I
Yeah,
just have all these goodies wrapped up, and I'm just excited to like put it
that's
out there.
awesome.
What happens. Yeah.
That's
Thank
fun.
you.
That's
Thank
good
you.
stuff. And I can't wait to see how that all goes because I
Yeah.
think it's always good to hear other voices out there. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, what are you writing right now?
Um, So my third book, Covet, is coming out September 2nd, but that's the super steamy kind of reality series cliffhanger. I write that as a serial. So people are waiting for the third installment because I left on a cliffhanger with two. So now
Nice.
everybody will be able to kind of like binge and go one, two, three, which is in Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, that'll be
But
good.
I just yesterday closed a deal and there is a summer romance coming. And it's going to be set in Hawaii because I traveled to Hawaii
You
this summer
did.
and I became totally invested in surfing. I don't surf. I know nothing about surfing, but I started watching surfing and I was like, oh, it's like, and I want the female to be the surfer. I watched this documentary on Netflix about like the top female surfers in the world competing internationally and stuff. And like I was like, hey, and called my agent and I was like, what about this? And I put it all together and we just sold the book. So it's coming
Yay.
out. Yeah, so literally, I have to start writing this like tomorrow. Like I'm like, okay, hope I had a great summer.
Because
I
it's
was
done.
Hawaii. I cried when I had to leave Hawaii. Like, so I'm just like, I'm going back. I'm going back to the thing. So I'm really excited about that. And I just think it's going to be a super fun. It's coming July or August, and I'll knock that out this fall.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I appreciate about your take on writing and a career is the idea of it doesn't have to consume your life. And I remember sitting in a workshop one time and they were talking about, and it was two very successful writers, and they were talking about their system of like they have books in the rough drafting and then in the editing and then in the publishing and how they keep track of everything. And so I'm looking at all this and I'm like, so when you finish a book, do you take a break? And they
Yes.
laughed at me. And
Oh,
I
oh,
was
you
like,
laughed. Oh, when you asked them and they laughed?
yeah. And they're
Oh,
like, you don't
interesting.
take a break. And I'm like, it seems like you should. I,
Uh,
and
yeah,
so,
I don't think then I would want to make that much money.
yeah. And I was
Like, I'm
like,
kind of like, I love life. I love my family. I love spending time. I love traveling. And also, I know, like, so this summer, so I haven't written, Covet was written like maybe 3 to 4 months ago. I have
okay,
been putting a lot of stuff into the Kickstarter and the course and another nonfiction book. So, yes, I am always working.
right.
My breaks there's no yes, like do I go away and take 2 weeks off and never check my laptop? No, I do. I am tied to my laptop, but I have a much bigger life than a lot of you get to decide. Like you
Yeah,
get to decide, and I feel like there's a pushback now. You'll see with this is not what writers want, and it's not healthy. It is not about
it's
the
not
next book.
healthy. Yeah.
Everybody's like chase the next book. It's just not about that anymore.
Well,
It's
and
about
there's
doing more
so
with
much talk about burnout that
yes,
I'm hoping that the tide is turning and
yes,
people realize, yeah, you can push yourself. You can put,
yeah,
10, 12 books out a year if that's your
yeah.
thing. But there's a price you pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't
I
want to pay the price. I'm trying to
I
be
don't need to.
proactive with it. And yeah,
Yeah, you don't nobody has to pay the price. You can still be so successful, especially now with one product if you get it, can be audio, serial books, foreign, sell on your shop direct, like
a
KU,
lot of different ways to reach readers.
yeah,
Yeah.
reader apps, like it's like so like make it kind of like you need less, I think, and more
Yeah.
like outlets. But I know I have this author who literally told to me that she's 2 books ahead and she took 24 hours off to like reset. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh no, I just can't do that. I don't want to do it.
I
I'm
don't want to
fine not
do that
doing it. I
either.
am fine not doing that.
Wow,
And we
that's so
all do know
curious.
that there are certain times, right? Like we've talked about this, like I'm gonna hustle, like I'm gonna take this
Yeah,
month
and
to do
there's
this, and
times
then
when
2 months,
put it all in, but you
but
also
not,
have to have times.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So you don't
yeah,
have to do that to be successful. That's a myth. That's another myth buster that needs to go out there.
I
Yeah.
agree. So when somebody reads your books, what is it you want them to walk away with?
I say it all the time. I want for that person, exactly like I did when I was young, to have had a couple of hours of this amazing escape where you just feel so invested and you're happy, you're sad, you had an emotional journey or whatever. And you can close that book and you were like, damn, that was really satisfying. Like that was I had a little bit of a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard and you swept me away, even though I have all this on my mind and it wasn't Netflix and I wasn't on a screen or what, you know what I mean? Like it was a book and it just made you feel something. It's as simple as that, like a couple of hours of happiness and emotion and escape. And that is, I think, seriously underrated nowadays.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
when I can't remember if I read the book or if I watched the movie because the book was that immersive, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's awesome and
Yeah.
a good thing to aspire,
Yeah.
to hope for your readers for them to
Absolutely.
get a break because I feel like we all need it. So
Yeah.
that's good
Agreed.
stuff. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was so much fun just to talk. Thanks for reading the book too. Book clubs, there's like billions of books out there. So, when somebody chooses my book out of all of the things, like it really means something to me. I really do. I don't take it for granted. Like, oh, da, da. It really does mean a lot. And that you enjoyed it even better. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the escape you give us. So thank you. Thanks for joining me today on the Literary Escapes podcast. If you enjoy reading your way around the world like I do, I'd like to extend an invitation for you to join me in the Literary Escapes Book Club. Each month, I offer up a new destination, 2 books that we'll read together, and then the author will join us of one of the books. So if that is something that sounds exciting to you and you'd like to be in a community that reads together, then check out the show notes. I'll have a link in there for the Literary Escapes Book Club. Until I see you again, have a great week, and I will talk to you again soon. Happy reading.